Masechet Menahot Daf Tet Vav, continuing from Yod Dalet Amud Bet, 4 lines from the bottom by the Mishnah. Nitmid Ahad Menahot or Echad Min HaZarim. If one loaf of the 2 loaves from Shavuot, or if one of the 2 setups, the rows of the breads from Lech Hapanim became Tameh. Rabbi Yehuda says, Shnei mi Yesul B'Sefai, you have to burn them all. Shen Korban Tzibur Haluk, because you can't divide the community Korban. Okay. V'chamim say no. Hatameh between the tameh one has to be burnt. But Torah Yachal either Torah one. Mar B'Lazar Machloket the Zerikah only applies. The Machloket in the Mishnah only applies before they threw the blood. But Achar Zerikah, if they threw the blood already, Divrei Hakol Tameh it agrees that the tameh stays tameh and the tahor can be eaten. The Zerikah might be what's the Machloket before and why would they disagree there? Besis Menasal Lichat commits the Machloket is whether or not can seats bring kapara or korbanot that are eaten. Rabban Sabri Ha'amim hold. Asis min the seeds can bring kapara, yani could accept those korbanot to be eaten. Rabbi Yehuda Savar and Asis min and Rabbi Yehuda says no. Amal Rabbi Huna Bered Rabbi Natan Rabbi Papa V'Ha'olin. But regarding the stuff that goes in the Zbeach, the Hasis min everybody agrees that the seeds gets kapara for those things to go out stuff, yani they accepts it. Upligi still machloket there. Tanya it says. Nitma echad min ha one of the spoonfuls of levanah that from the lechem pini became tameh. Rabbi Yehuda says shnei ya'asu b'tumah. לפי שאין קורבן חילוק ציבור החולק, וחכמים אומרים אז maybe it's not about the סימן חוגת, so no difference whether the is involved or not. Another question, Tashma proof. Rabbi says אפילו שבט אחד טמא וכל השבטים טהורים. Even if you have one shevet tameh and the rest are tahor, usually in general, the only time we'll overlook tum'ah for doing avodah, but the midrash is that most of Bnei Yisrael is tameh. Over here we're bringing a case, even if one, according to Rida, even if one shevet is tameh and the other 11 are tahor, ya'asu b'tum'ah, they could do the korban while they're tameh. Lefi she'en korban tzibur halut, because the community cannot be divided. There's no seats being helping out over there, so Rida doesn't even involve the seats at all. Where it says, another question, Tashma bring proof. It's true, but says regarding the seeds, the Mishnah should have said specifically, not because the tahor and the tameh and you can't split it up. You should have mentioned the fact that the seeds does not bring kapara for there. Why would it mention, oh, because we don't split up the community korban? Elam Rabbi Yochanan must be a different answer. Limud aruch hu befiv shel Bida. It's an established halacha and what Bida learned from his rabbis. She'en korban hatzibur halotas. His reason is that he learned from his rabbis is that we don't split up korbanot. Okay, hasodam mefalaget alechem. Ba'alechem enu mefalaget etah. So the tetah, if the tetah korban becomes tameh, the bread that is brought with it becomes tameh. We mentioned before it's 10 breads of 4 different types, 40 breads that are brought with tetah. But the pigul intended by the bird does not make the korban tameh. Ketzar, what's the case? Shahat if someone slaughtered the with the intention to eat the next day, which is pigul, he is also tameh, including the bread. He slaughters it to eat the korban today, which is good. But the bread for the next day, the bread becomes the pigul, but not the korban itself. Similarly, by Shavuot, Akibasi mefalgin zalech. Pigul intention regarding the lamb makes the 2 loaves of bread tameh. Pigul. Alech minimum faget pigul, but the bread does not make the lambs of Shavuot. Pigul. Cancel what's the case. Hashem to Kvasim lechom and machar. We slaughtered lambs with intention to eat tomorrow. Hem v'alechem mefalgin. They're all pigul. Lechol the lechem machar. They slaughtered with intention to eat the bread the next day. Alechem mefugam v'kvasim mefalgin. The bread is pigul, but the lambs are unaffected. My time, why does pigul work by the korban, not the bread? Why does pigul by the korban affect the bread, but the bread does not affect the korban? Even Mishum Rav Kana, I want to teach because Rav Kana, Tam Rav Kana holds Minan Lachmet Tadash and that the bread is considered Tudah. Shamar Vekri Val Zevach Hatoda Halot. But that's the case. If that's the case, then even when you do the bread, it should make the korban pigul. So like a Shasna Sira, Lechem Mikri Tudah, like Lechem. No, it's true. The bread is called Tudah, but Tudah is not called bread. Okay. Tani, 1 second. We can say later on, הכבשים מפגרים את הלחם ולחם מפגר את הכבשים. לחם היכא שכן דאיקרא כבשים. So we said, okay, fine, you have a proof by the first case of the Tudah that is interchangeable bread and Tudah, the Korban, but where do we see that by the case of Shavuot, where the Lachem is considered a lamb? Ella, and it must be a different reason. Lechem gilal tuda. The bread is secondary to the tuda. But enta gal lechem, the tuda is not secondary to the bread. Therefore, lechem gilal is klasim. Therefore, also, and similarly regarding the shavuot, bread is to the lambs, and the klasim, the gal lechem, the lambs can't be to the bread. So since it's secondary, basically, the secondary can be dragged to the primary, which is the bread to the korban, but not vice versa. Let's see in both cases. The Yashminan to mention the case the first case, happen with the chimifagel, but the maybe only over there if you do pigil regarding the bread, the korban is not affected. Mission the law because they're not waved together. Avakasim regarding lambs, the shavuot. There's a kula that we do weave it together. Maybe you might think, if I get the lechem, if I get now, because if you make the bread pickle, maybe it also bring the korban pickle. Three from evil cases. Bam Rebbe Lazar Merav. Here's a question of Shahayt. Either to tell Yachol Kazad Merav Lachman Lachar. Someone slaughtered the tefillah to eat and a combined olive's worth from it and the bread tomorrow. Ma was the lecha. That fluga to dal lon bali. Now the child itself cannot become pagul because if he did the entire intention on the bread that would be unaffected. So definitely not with the bread. It would definitely not become. What's the question? Does the bread become pigo? Can the partial intention from the Tadah ruin the bread's pigo or not? Amalai says, it's true. The bread is considered pigo and the Tadah is untouched. But my why? Then makavachomer, drink kavachomer. Uma hamefagil and pagil. In the case of a Todah, where it can help cause pigul, but it cannot become pigul itself. Yani it could cause the bread to become pigul, but it will not become pigul by itself. Habali fagil pigel. And still, if it comes to do pigul, it won't become pigul in itself. Yani the bread does not make the pigul itself. Eno din so over here as well, should not make the bread pigul. Meaning, if I have intention on the bread to make to that pigul, doesn't affect it. So if that's the case, then if I'm doing it combined to da and pig bread, why would it make the bread pigu at all? Maybe the fact that I'm doing with the to combined won't do it. And we're going to combine means half a kazayich. When me and Kavahomer, can you make a Kavahomer of this type of concept? But then it says, Maaseh be'achad is a story of a guy, Amud Bet Tetvav, Shezara Karamosh Havram Semadar. Against his, without friend's permission, he planted seeds of a different type of produce into his friend's field of his vineyard, and the grapes were already growing. In the story with Hamim, they said the seeds are asur because of kilayim, but the grapevine is okay because you can't make your friend's thing pasul. Asur. Why is that? Well, that's the case. Lema kavachomer. Say the kavachsim kavachomer. Maha asur and aser. In the case over here where the grapevines themselves, which is causing the other seeds to become pasul, they don't become pasul. Haval asur v'lo asar is over here where they trying to make it asur, did not make it asur. In the so therefore the seed itself should be kasher. Same type of format as the other kavachomer. So how do you say this kavachomer? The Gemara says, "Hachiyashi you can't compare. Hatam kan bos veluf asra turah." In the case of the mixing of the produce, the Torah say you cannot mix certain type of beans and stuff. Shadrim dabran asri and other seeds with vineyards is only dabran. Hada avid Yisrael kanser. So over here, where the guy planted it with the vineyard, Hachamim knastim, they gave him a penalty. Had law avid Yisrael kanser. Our own vineyard guy did not do anything wrong. He didn't give permission. He has no idea it's happening. No knas. In our case, there's a kavachomer. Now, the entire conversation we just had, we can now learn through the case of the Shavuot lambs. Mirav. Let's ask a question from Rav. Hashahet. Someone slaughters the Shavuot lamb's intention to eat the combined olive from them and the bread the next day. Regarding the lambs, that's not pagul because regarding the bread, it wouldn't become pagul from the bread. So that's sure not from them and the bread. He comes out with the question, if you just to make the bread asur. Can you take the half a kazayim from the intention of the lamb to make the bread pasul or not? The Gemara says, in this case, well, the bread is going to be go and lamb not. Now we're going to do the same exact things we said before, but we'll all through it. Same kavachomer. The Gemara says, now we're asking the question from the case of the grapes. Same answer. Hatam kan bos flufa satura. Shazrin bedramni hasiri. Haida vadi sura kan sura banan. Wala banan insa kan sura banan. Wahakhalina kan bachomer. Now, what's the difference between these two different ways of asking the question? We ask the question, same question from the Tada, and same question from the Shavuot animals. So Man Tada, when we ask the question regarding the Tada animals combined with the bread, Kol Shekinah seems to show the lambs as well would have to say would also make the bread pasul. Pigo. We'll explain why. We'll only mention the second case, however, Rav said regarding the only lambs, the only reason why for sure there the bread would become pasul would be because they're connected with the waving. But regarding the breads that are not attached, he would not say, look, he would not become pigul. Rabbi Abbas had a question as follows. Someone came to slaughter a Shavuot lamb, one of them, to eat a olive of its friend tomorrow. What that is? What's the Haviro, Kevesh, Mashma, does it mean that when it says friend, it means the other lamb? If we're not people, two different animals. Or maybe it's referring to its friend, which means the bread, and we'll make it the bread is people. Well, the answer is 10 12. We have the Mishnah. Shahat echad min hakivasim le'echol min al-machar. Someone slaughtered one of the Shavuot lamb, intention to eat it tomorrow. Hu pigul v'haver kasher. It's pigul and its friend is kasher. Le'echol me'haver al-machar. But if I ate some of the companion tomorrow, shnei mashmid they're both kasher. Alma kavira keves mash. When it says friend, it means the actual lamb. Of course, it's not proof. Maybe it's a talking case where you actually mentioned the lamb, not over here. Our question over here remains unanswered. Amen. Amen.